Hey guys, our garden growing season is coming to an end, and as sad as that can feel right now, it is a great time to start going out and getting our gardens ready for spring. And when we do that, our gardens will be so much healthier and more prepared to take on those spring flowers. And it can be a really fun time to start planning out what those gardens might look like when spring rolls in. So let me go through a couple quick things I want you to make sure that you haven't forgotten to do every fall when it comes to preparing those gardens for winter. All right? Okay, so we're gonna start off with drying your flowers and your herbs. Going out into that herb garden and cutting down all those herbs and starting to dry them can actually be a very rewarding experience. You've worked hard to grow those herbs. When we take the time to go out, cut down some of our best blooms to dry, then you can really enjoy them in other ways through the winter. Our Autumn Flower Fun Box actually included a flower drying kit, and the Autumn Video Library showed you how to use that kit so that you could dry those flowers and those herbs. It's just a fun way to keep those flowers and those herbs working for you longer. And in our winter box, we actually will be using a lot of dried floral product when we create a beautiful winter wreath. So it's a great time to go out, see what you have, try drying some different things. I recommend starting with like a hydrangea or something that's got a lot of leaves on it, and see what they look like when they start to dry. You'd be surprised at how beautiful those things actually can be. All right, next you want to make sure that you're cutting back all the plants that need to be cut down for winter. Now, it's a great time to go out, do some research on what you have in your garden that needs to be cut back. For example, it really helps to cut back your raspberries if you want to make sure that they are producing fruit all at the same time. So I like to cut those back every couple of years. I also highly recommend cutting back like your peony bushes. Those things will pop right back up in the spring. And in the Pacific Northwest, our peony foliages will just get moldy, mushy, rotted, and gross. And when they get covered in snow, it's basically the same. And they'll all freeze. It's just a mess. It gets really gross. It can be really gross to clean up later. I recommend just doing it now while they're healthy and good. Cut them on back. Different growing zones, of course, have different standards of what needs to be cut back. So make sure you're looking it up and doing that research. And then of course you want to be putting in your bulbs for spring. It's actually a really fun time to be thinking and planning ahead about what you want popping out of the ground where. A few of my very favorites, I love some really beautiful daffodils. Apricot whorl daffodils actually are one of my very favorite daffodils. They're a little harder to find, but they are so beautiful in the spring. And I also really enjoy black hero tulips. I really like Globe Master Allium, those huge, big, spherical blooms. They're so beautiful. And then I really also enjoy any of the parrot tulips as well. Apricot parrot tulips are some of my very favorites. So it's fun to be thinking about where in my garden I want to put those new bulbs, how I want to design things, and then it's so fun to sit back and just watch it come up in the spring. So make sure you're looking for those autumn bulbs now and thinking about where you want to put them. A couple weeks ago, I did a blog post all about mulching. It's actually a fantastic time right now during the autumn to go out, put a new layer of mulch down. The organic material, of course, adds to the composition of your soil, but it also adds this fantastic protective barrier over all the roots that are going to be wintered and staying in the garden through the winters. It's almost kind of like how dogs grow in a new winter coat. We're putting in a winter coat on our gardens by putting down some mulch. So make sure you get out there to put some mulch down, spread it around. Definitely put it at least around the most delicate ones that you care about the most. It'll also do a great job of blocking some of those weeds that pop up in the Pacific Northwest where we don't get snow. It has a lot of great purposes. So go to our blog at florafunbox.com, click on blog. You can see the post all about mulching a few weeks ago, and it'll walk you through all the benefits. Now, a lot of people might be saying it's a great time to go out and put in some autumn fertilizer. Well, I would recommend you hold back on that. Putting fertilizer on your plants this time of year actually isn't that helpful. Your flowers don't need to be stimulated to produce more right now. They're getting ready for hibernation. So hold off on that fertilizer, save it for the spring. That's when it really needs it, and it's going to benefit the most from having that fertilizer. So hold off on the fertilizer for now. The last tip I have for you is to put together a garden journal or update the one you already have if you have one. Garden journals are fantastic points of reference for you as you decide which plants worked best for you this season. Maybe you don't want to plant that same variety of pumpkin again, but you want to remember the name of the variety that did work. I don't know about you, but my brain cannot always retain all those details. Get yourself a garden journal. Write down the names and varieties, especially if you have any sort of vegetable garden. But I also really love it for writing down flower varieties. If you want to buy perhaps a matching rose bush for the other side of the driveway, and you just cannot for the life of you remember the name and variety, you can even glue in the tags, tape in a tag of something, a seed packet that reminds you of exactly what it looked like when you bought it, where to find it, where it's located in the yard if you're wanting to mark where you put all those beautiful apricot tulips that you just bought. It's really fun, and it can also remind you about colors. Perhaps before your spring bulbs pop up, you're putting something else in the yard and you're going, oh, well, I have all my blue stuff over here and my orange stuff over here. It's fantastic. I love to color code mine so I can actually see what the coloring of my yard will look like when everything comes up. There's a lot of fun ways to do it, and I encourage you to get creative as you put together your own garden journal. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you want more great free content on gardening and flower arranging and even home decor, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel here and like this video so that I know you want more stuff like this, and leave me some comments and I will make sure I reply to them. Thanks so much, guys. All right, now you guys have just learned something new. It's time for you to go create something beautiful.